So good day, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar. Again, my name is Jason Barnett from Imaginate and the PLM division. I'm actually the Director of Manufacturing and PLM. I've been working in the software and manufacturing industries for about 23 years. So I'm also accompanied with Tim Strandberg, who is one of our PLM implementation and integration specialists. So our goal today is to outline to you how Fusion Lifecycle PLM can help you communicate engineering data out to the enterprise. And along with that, I want to describe some of the benefits. So Tim, at the end of my presentation, he'll accompany my dialogue with a real-world example and also do a technology demonstration, so he gets the fun part. Also, I just wanted to point out, during my presentation, I'd like you to pay attention to my slides and look for anything spooky in my Halloween theme here. And I'm going to ask a very simple question at the end. It really doesn't have anything to do with technology, probably just more to do with Halloween coming up. And the first person to answer correctly in the question and answer panel will win a $25 Amazon gift card. So pay attention and look for spooky items there. So, okay. So as far as my agenda, for one thing, speaking of Halloween, so happy early Halloween to everyone. But I'm going to walk through and just give the audience an introduction to Imaginate Technologies. I'm going to start at the higher level and talk about some industry challenges. Look at why would you consider PLM for business process improvement with the benefits of connecting systems. And then Tim will do his demonstration, and then we will open it up for Q&A where you will answer your questions that come into the Q&A panel. So, all right, so we'll get started. So Imaginate Technology is a wholly owned subsidiary of RAND Corporation. So Imaginate is, as a company, focuses on acquiring, reselling, and creating technology and implementing it for our customers to provide positive business outcomes. So earlier this year, Imaginate and Advanced Solutions combined to become the largest partner in North America. I was actually on the Advanced Solutions side of that. And together, we have a pretty extensive reach with more than 40 offices in North America and around 400 employees. And I think it's really special that our engineering group has over 120 subject matter experts with competencies in really all the major engineering disciplines. So RAND does have several other divisions, including RAND 3D, and really RAND 3D is a leading provider of Dassault software solutions, and then they also focus on Dassault and PTC training. Ascent is another division, and they produce high-quality professional training materials for Autodesk, Parametric Technologies, and Dassault. And if any of you on the phone have taken any of our classes or even classes from other partners or other places, you've probably used our Ascent manuals before. So diving back down into Imaginate, we do specialize in other areas that I just want to point out just so you can get to know our company. We do things like ANSYS simulation. We've got a big team that works on that, facilities management, and then also Leica scanning and reality capture. So we also have several brands. A couple of them I'll just mention here. One of them being Imaginate Pulse. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because you're actually going to see it today. So when it's a powerful integration platform. You won't really see the technology itself, but you'll see it work. And basically, when it works, it just works. So I just wanted to point out that Tim will be using Pulse today. And then Productivity Now, which is a comprehensive, customizable e-learning platform. And really, what that has is training courses along with employee learning paths and testing. So our customers they love using Productivity Now. Really helps enhance their use of the technology tools that they acquire. So as far as the PLM group, I just wanted to point out a couple of things that make us unique. We are a Fusion Lifecycle specialized partner which means that Autodesk has recognized this as one of the few partners to design, implement, integrate, and support the Fusion Lifecycle software platform. The other point I would bring out is that I think is unique is that in the world of PLM, we work with companies at any size. So we have customers across many industries, but we also have customers that really sell, have product sales in the millions of dollars to the billions of dollars. So, I mean, we really have a broad scope of who we can help with this technology. And then finally, I just point out that we do have a strong background in not only process management, but industrial, mechanical, software engineering, and all these disciplines come together to really help our customers discover how a platform like Fusion Lifecycle can enable your company just to drive efficiency, quality, and innovation into the business. So again, from a high level, for those that are not familiar with PLM, just give a quick definition here, and we'll dive into its relevance a little bit more here in a minute. But in short, it's a connected technology platform that really manages all the people or tasks, processes, and information that's involved in bringing a product or service to market. And in just a little bit more broader terms, it's really a company-wide system, and it ends up connecting stakeholders to the right information at the right time so they can make the most informed decisions for the company. All right, so again, driving down a little bit further. So why would we consider this? I'll just first set up with some common industry challenges. When we go out and see customers, one of the things that we commonly see is that nearly every product development company faces a couple of unavoidable realities. The first is a lot of decisions are made up front, and that's really more around the design process, and many things are decided early on. The second reality is that further we go down the product life cycle or the project life cycle, the more expensive it gets to make a change. So in other words, if we get down to production when tooling's already been built, or when a product or a machine's been delivered out to a customer, and we have to either change it in manufacturing or fly somebody out to fix a piece of equipment on site, the change becomes exponentially greater when we have to get people involved like that, as opposed to a simple design change in engineering. So what we end up seeing is that engineering tends to work in a vacuum. They get requirements either from a market demand or a customer demand to the designs, and when they're done, they end up kind of throwing it over the wall at all the downstream players. That really leaves them thinking about, well, what do I need to buy? Where do I need to buy it from? How am I going to make it? How am I going to meet my quality targets? And then service and some support, really trying to make sure that they're going to support this particular product or machine when it's out in the field. And all this leads to high life cycle change costs. So a best practice is to really enable early cross-functional collaboration and review with the downstream functions to really catch potential problems earlier on in the process. By doing this, the results are lower lifetime change costs, fewer delays, lowering the product and quality costs as we're bringing things to market. So for most companies, what we see are the quality management, product development, or new product introduction system, and the change management system. They're disconnected. So again, idea comes in, or some kind of a demand comes in, goes through the product development process, through its life cycle, gets delivered to a customer, and then something happens like a warranty issue or some kind of a quality issue happens where there's got to be a fix. And the quality management system does a good job of making those corrections. But oftentimes what happens, it really stops there. And what we'd like to say as another important best practice is to connect quality and engineering systems to do more of a closed loop end-to-end quality management system. So again, we go through the product life cycle, delivers to a customer. We go through the quality management system, and how Fusion Lifecycle works. It actually kicks off a change request that will go into the product development system. So everything is closed back, and it ends up giving a complete end-to-end traceability and really provides enterprise visibility and focus into what some of the most important issues are, or some of the most important changes to make to a product. So really a good feedback cycle. All right, so why would you consider PLM for business process improvement? So although we find products and services may differ a lot in complexity from one company to another, the thing that we see in common is that everybody needs to generate, manage, and relate information. So many of the companies that I've worked with, that I've seen, do a really good job of developing systems that address individual needs or departmental needs. However, what we find out is that information is vital in product development across the enterprise, and it's vital that it be shared with everybody. But without a product lifecycle management solution to really help generate, manage, and relate that information, it tends to get lost, get misinterpreted, go unused, get reworked. And that's typically because data is managed in multiple systems, homegrown databases, emails, spreadsheets, and oftentimes we still even see paper travelers out there, paper documents. So, and as product portfolios continue to grow and increase in complexity, all this just has a negative impact on how manufacturing companies are able to compete in the marketplace. So this is where PLM comes in. The value can really be tremendous for manufacturing companies. I mean, primarily because it provides a whole organization one common place to go for all product and service related information. It also gives everybody really full insight into where the product, projects, and process data are. It removes waste from processes by making them more efficient and through easier access to information. So that allows the organization to focus more on value-added tasks and less on time-wasting activities. And when I refer to time-wasting activities, they're common things that people do often, and I think they go overlooked just because everybody's used to it. But that's searching for data, having meetings, doing data entry. Those types of things are what I refer to when I talk about time-wasting activities. Although they're necessary, we want to reduce that and focus more on value-added tasks and making company, the products and processes better. So finally, PLM helps remove duplicate data across multiple systems, and that just eliminates unnecessary work and ensures everybody's accessing the same up-to-date information. So this all leads, it just adds up to better utilization of staff within your organization, the ability to get products to market faster, products of increased quality due to the risk of making mistakes, and then it just leaves more time and scope for product innovation, leading to higher customer satisfaction and increased competitiveness for your company. So really, in short, adding a PLM system can help you become more profitable through product and process innovation and help create more revenue or help the company do more with the same amount of resources by making things more efficient. All right, so although I'm not suggesting that Cloud PLM will immediately fix everything, it does give companies a quickest path forward to process maturity from more on the left-hand side, from a manual siloed process to becoming more organized and managed, like a level 3, where many departments start becoming connected, to eventually tying all processes and data together into a single optimized system. And I'll just be clear for those folks that aren't familiar with PLM. I mean, PLM is really a journey. It is a journey. It's, you build over time, but it's a fruitful journey, and there's a lot of upside to it, and I'll kind of touch on that here in just a few minutes. All right, so what we're here to talk about today, so that was all kind of set up, but I think what everybody was interested in and the reason why you attended is, connecting engineering to the enterprise. So I'll set up first just by talking about the products that we're dealing with here. Really PDM, or what we call our Vault, it has to be tightly integrated with CAD, and that's really to enhance the design experience. So Vault provides a deep integration with CAD systems. It's been there for years. It's really good. It's deeply integrated in CAD, and it helps manage complex relationships between parts, assemblies, and drawings. It also helps reuse engineering knowledge really by some powerful tools in the vaulting system, which facilitate engineering change management or document change management, copy design functionality, and powerful search tools, among other things. And then it also allows companies to utilize flexible resources by connecting global engineering centers and not only just utilize flexible resources, but it really allows to share engineering data around multi-site or around the globe. So moving to Product Lifecycle Management, Fusion Lifecycle is really built on a modern architecture with a familiar web interface that people really like using. It's very simple. If you can use, Facebook or just any web type of application, it's pretty easy to use. So the system's also available anytime, anywhere, through virtually any web-enabled device. So really, you just kind of turn it on and people can log in and get access to it. So there's no complicated IT infrastructure. And the cloud-based PLM really provides a platform where manufacturers can use a specific template that we give you, or they can actually develop their own workflow. It's that flexible. And then you can simply add new apps to it as you need them. So as your company grows and we want to extend the system to other departments, you can go to the App Store, add an app, or design your own. So it's quite flexible. And because it's software as a service, it's generally much lower cost than traditional PLM. And, with a rollout with a company or partner like Imaginate Technologies, we can help companies really focus on quick and speedy payback, which hasn't always been the reputation of PLM in the past. So, these are really different solutions that are attacking. One of the common questions that we get are around, why would I just have Vault, why would I use PLM? And really the focus of each application is really different. PDM or Vault is really made to manage CAD data, and it's focused on document-centric data management that meets the needs of engineering and design. It also focuses on protection of local data, but also replicating data across different engineering centers and really standardizing the way that engineering centers work. So PLM is more focused on being accessible anytime, anywhere. And one of those things that is easy to do with PLM is actually to bring in suppliers or even customers into our workflow. So we do that often. Data is provided by a simple web user interface. It doesn't require any software installations, and the PLM is very process-centric. It provides a very flexible and dynamic workflow engine that really can focus on both engineering but non-engineering processes. And we find the majority of stakeholders are outside of engineering. So in our the customers that we work with that have both these applications, I'll give it to on the far side of the scale, we'll find that there'll be 10 PLM users to 1 PDM user. The other thing is it's really built for integrations to many systems. So you'll kind of see that today. So Tim will give a good example of that. But it's really it's made to be a source and target for data. So in summary, PLM holds that critical product information that really needs to be shared outside of engineering for the company to effectively make good decisions about projects or products. PLM manages the processes, gives a common platform to see information through the product or project lifecycle. So hopefully that helps kind of distinguish between these applications and why they would work together. Here's just what it kind of looks like. I'm just putting it all together here, and this is what it looks like in a typical business process, and these are some of the major systems. So again, the PDM application or vaulting applications used in engineering and design to really help manage CAD and design data. CRM and ERP ride on both sides of engineering. So your CRM is used to initiate the demand for products or projects. Then your ERP system is used to execute on those products or projects in production and accounting. But because of the shortfalls in these systems and in the breakdowns between them, oftentimes what happens, and we see this all the time, folks use Excel sheets to go and kind of translate data between each different system and kind of extract out of one, transform it, and then input it into another, whether that's in some kind of import, export, or a lot of times it's just a manual process. So communication often happens through a series of manual processes, and those can be, again, I mentioned these as time-wasting activities, but it can be meetings, phone calls, emails, and either electronic documents or paper documentation. So, however, PLM rides horizontally across all of these systems, and it really manages cross-departmental processes such as new product introduction, enterprise change management, and quality management in a single system. Now, it also allows for departments to use their own specific horizontal systems to get their specific job done while delivering that information to other stakeholders in a single trusted horizontal application. As promised, I would talk about some of the benefits here. I'm not going to go through all of these, but basically this chart is just showing here's the benefit range that we're seeing from really Autodesk customers that have implemented Fusion Lifecycle. And I want to point out a few because there's a few heavy hitters in here. So one is finding data. So finding data is reduced by up to 75%. So the entire organization and those folks you let in from the outside to get real-time access, they're able to get powerful search tools so people can go in and find what they need exactly when they need it. The other piece I'd point out here, reporting and tracking. I mean, oftentimes we go to companies and we're trying to figure out how to help companies. We say, okay, well, how long does it take now, or what's it like now? And what we get are a pile of emails or documents or whatever, and it's really hard to measure. But with a product like Fusion Lifecycle, we can measure and manage departmental and enterprise efficiency by using real-time, easy-to-use reporting tools. Basically, the system updates live. Oftentimes, we're just seeing companies, they either use Excel, they're pulling data out of multiple systems to use Excel, or a product like Tableau or Power BI, and it's a really time-consuming way to work, and I actually don't think people like doing it very much. So we make it really easy for you. And then lastly, manual data entry can be reduced by as much as 95%. So Tim's going to do this for you. He's going to show you how system integration works. But automatic data integrations can update systems in seconds instead of hours that it might take a human. And when a human does things, it just tends to be error prone. So really automating it and building it into the system where everybody trusts that they're going to get access to the same up-to-date information. Okay, so on to the demonstration. I just wanted to thank everybody for walking through my setup. I know it's everybody likes to see the technology instead of hearing me talk, but it helps to kind of set this up. So Tim is going to walk through a real-world example of that closed-loop quality process that I referred to earlier. He'll also show you how PLM allows stakeholders to be involved in decisions that may require changes in engineering documentation. So you'll see both an integration from PLM to product data management or our vaulting system, as well as a push to from an improved item in PLM to an enterprise resource planning system. So in this example, he'll use our vaulting system, Fusion Lifecycle, and Oracle NetSuite ERP. So again, thank you. I'll be back when Tim's done just with some next steps, and then we'll open up the Q&A, and I will assign you Tim Strandberg as the presenter.
Okay, so as we just heard Jason explain a little bit about how PLM works, how Fusion Lifecycle works, it is a cloud-based application, accessible from anywhere that you've got a web-enabled device. If you can bring up a browser and have a web connection, be it on your laptop, tablet, phone, doesn't matter, you've got access to the site. Just as a little bit of technical background as to how that all works, as Jason mentioned, it is a cloud-based application. This is a web interface to a cloud-based application. And actually behind that cloud application is a relational database. So what that means for us is that I'm currently displaying a non-conformance record. Fusion Lifecycle is made up of many different record types, and as we'll see when we go through here, we'll see how those record types can relate to one another and point back to one another, tying the whole thing together. So we'll be able to see engineering data across the organization. We'll be able to see quality processes can be viewed by the engineering folks. It all ties it together in one nice, tidy little package. No more silos of data, no more isolated spreadsheets. Who's got the latest spreadsheet? No more messaging that falls into someone's inbox to lay there and collect dust for weeks on end. It's all upfront and visible where everyone can get to it in a timely fashion. So I mentioned that this is a non-conformance record in what we call the NonConformance Workspace. And this workspace is really just a collection of these like records. We'll see several workspaces throughout this demonstration. This is a recorded demo. I've had issue in the past whereby my laptop, for whatever reason, doesn't like to play nice when it's doing a live presentation across WebEx, and you guys certainly don't need to see me lose a connection or have my machine need to reboot right in the middle. So I recorded this previously, and we'll just show it to you here again. So hopefully there won't be anything lost in the translation. I will explain kind of as we go through here again, but this non-conformance really can apply to anything. We often think of a non-conformance maybe being related to we're purchasing parts from a third-party vendor, and a batch of those parts come through that are not in tolerance. That might instantiate a new non-conformance report or a new non-conformance record. In our case, our backstory here today is this company actually happens to track all of their processes, including sales. And this story evolves around the case where a customer ordered a batch of hold-down clamps, some fixturing clamps, and we built them with the wrong components. With that, I will go ahead and start the recording playing and I'll continue talking through here. So the inspection type, we caught this mid-process. Here we can see that the related supplier, remember I talked about interrelated records. So this link here, this lighter blue text points back to that supplier. So I could click there and it would take me to that supplier's record. Our non-conforming item is this clamp assembly. It's currently Rev A. And so we provided a short description here. The clamp assembly was assembled with the wrong arm. It's supposed to be the long reach arm. we built it with a short one instead. So then we'll continue on through. It's going to delay our shipment. We figure it's going to take 5 man-hours. We need to reassemble all that stock. And finally, down here at the bottom of the page, we have a link to what we call a CAPA record. CAPA stands for corrective action, preventative action. So we don't want this to happen again. So we're going to start one of these CAPA records that will allow us to capture what went wrong, come up with some scenarios, how do we prevent this in the future, and prevent this customer from being disappointed again. So here's our CAPA record. We can see it's got a lot of the same information. The nice thing about Fusion Lifecycle is we can have one record spawn another record type. So that's actually what happened. You didn't get to see it happen, but that's actually what happened in the background during my recording of this demo. As we went through workflow, and we'll see this CAPA workflow here in just a minute, but as the item or the record transpires through its workflow, transitions through its workflow, we could use certain transitions in there to trigger other actions. And that might be capturing information from the first record and I'm automatically applying it to the new record. So we captured that it was effective or going to be affected against this clamp assembly. The problem was the order was simply misinterpreted. You know, the order entry clerk read it wrong or took the information over the phone wrong. So we need to perform a functional fix. One of the things that we're going to do, one of our action items, is to visually check orders by more than one data entry clerk. Just put another set of eyes on it. And we feel that that'll be 100% effective. So let's go ahead and continue on. And now we'll take a look at that workflow. I'll pause it just a second here. So the workflow runs from left to right. This is completely configurable. Fusion Lifecycle can be configured to be as simple or as complex as your business processes require. In this instance, this is more or less the out-of-the-box workflow for CAPAs. And we can see that it has progressed here, again, due to the recording. It has progressed through these states and now sits in the under review state. So now, as a member of this review board, I need to perform an action. I could either approve it and go ahead and close it, or I could approve it and have it generate an ECO. And that's the track that we're actually going to take. You can type in an optional comment, letting those further down the chain. Again, enforcing that eyes wide open visibility so everyone knows what's going on, everyone knows what's happened up until this point. Single point of data entry. And here we see our change order document. So this is the third record type or the third workspace we've been in now, all within the same system. It's all stored in the same place in the cloud. So it brought across the title, you know, that we have a clamp arm change. We're going to see how it is further related here in just a second. So there's our comment from the previous record. You know, we should have had the long clamp instead of the short clamp. And now we get a look at the affected item. The affected item from that CAPA was automatically added to this workflow. So now we can see this is a little more complex workflow. We'll let that get out of the way. This is a little more complex workflow. Again, this is more or less right out of the box. This could be modified, tailored to your exact business case. But when we start, we submit that, we submit this change order to the CCB, to the Change Control Board. This could be one person, it could be 10 people, it could be a variety of people from different departments. Often, you know, when you have a change that's going to impact several departments, in this case, it's probably going to be engineering, it's probably going to be manufacturing, could be purchasing. Of course, quality will want some input on this, as they're the ones that brought everything to our attention. I'll point out up here at the top, we've got some labels up here that currently, as we go into this next state, and we'll see this in a second when I switch over to Vault, when currently those Vault files are in a released state. Then as we transition through here, the integration, our integration platform will automatically, we'll see a case where Pulse will talk to Vault and automatically change the lifecycle state from released to work in progress, and then vice versa as we transition on our way down the line. Vault, Autodesk Vault is our PDM system behind this, and as I mentioned, those are actually integrated together. We facilitate those two systems talking to each other through our own product, our Pulse integration platform, and it works very well. So here we can see actually this little flag of the top of this. This is what we call an approval loop. This is where, again, according to your requirements, we could require, you know, someone, not everyone, but someone from purchasing, someone from manufacturing, maybe everyone from engineering. It's as flexible as you need it to be. In this case, I'm the only one involved, the only one named in this routing, so I'm able to transition everything through on by myself. That's not a typical workflow, a company workflow, but it does save us having to have 6 people participating in the demo to get everything approved. So now we're in the implementation state, and we're going to take a look over here on the Vault side, and we can see up here that clamp assembly was in released, and now when we refresh Vault's screen, we can see that it's work in progress. The CAD engineer is going to check out and open that file. They're simply going to replace the short arm with the longer version. There's the long clamp arm. CAD engineer will go ahead and save the file and then check it back into Vault. The nice thing about this integration is it really doesn't add any work. In fact, saves a lot of work hours. It really doesn't add any work. There's nothing new for most people to have to learn. This CAD engineer isn't doing anything out of what he would normally do. And now he'll simply change the lifecycle state of that clamp from work in progress to for review. That change in lifecycle event is actually what triggers our integration to send that back over to Fusion Lifecycle. So now that updated assembly now has been pushed back over here to Fusion Lifecycle. So we say, yep, we received them from review. Typically during this state, we'll catch it here before it goes on. Typically before it enters this state, the change control board would actually go look at that item. We'll see that here in just a minute, but verify that everything is as it should be. So it's been reviewed and deemed complete. When we save that step, It moves over to the managed state, to the approved state. And if we go back here in Vault and look, update that view again, there we can see that our clamp assembly is released again. And the revision has been incremented up to the B rev instead of the A rev that it started out. So if we go and take a look at those affected items, in this case there's only one, I might point out that this is currently, imagine this is being performed not by a quality person, not by an engineering person, but now this workflow is being performed by an ERP person. They just set the ERP item type to be an assembly bill of materials so that when we push this over to ERP, our ERP of choice today happens to be NetSuite. So we have to tell NetSuite what type of item we're going to send it. We do a comparison on that bill of materials, and again, this probably would have been performed during that review process so that change control board could see that, yep, things actually did get changed. Here we can see we removed the old clamp, we added the new clamp, we went from Rev A, now we're at Rev B. So if we go back to our approval workflow and push it over to ERP, now we're looking into our record in NetSuite, and we can see that it has updated the assembly. Now it's referencing that new 600 series clamp, which is the long clamp. So we caught a problem. The benefit is that quality caught the problem as they were doing their final inspection before ship. They said, whoa, hold the phone, stop the presses. This is wrong, we need to go fix it. That got pushed back to engineering after it was deemed, yes, it really is a problem. Here's what we need to do to prevent this problem in the future. It got pushed over to engineering. Engineering changed it. It came back to the engineering change order. It was reviewed. It was approved. The assembly was updated. And now it got pushed back into the ERP system. So now our item master in the ERP system matches what's in Fusion Lifecycle. It also matches what's in Vault. One thing that I did notice that I forgot to mention was that anytime when you have work to do, in other words, if you have an approval to perform, if there's work that needs to be done, you will receive an email notification, again, so it doesn't just sit on someone's desk, and it just improves the overall throughput of the entire system. So, Cassie, it appears that that's the end of our presentation on the software itself. We'll turn things back over to you for Q&A.